Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar by Phrase, today on Phrase Studio. My name is Clara. I'm the webinar host for today. Super excited to see the amazing interest and so many of you registering for this session. We're super happy to have you. We are going to be presenting Phrase Studio and how you can take your audio and video global. The presenter for today is Semih Altinay. He is VP of AI Solutions at Phrase, and he's going to cover the background and why we are bringing Phrase Studio. And then also he'll take us directly into the product and show us what it can do. So I'm super excited and handing over to you, Semih.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Clara. Everybody can hear me okay? All right. So let's get started. A little bit about me. I've been in the industry for almost 2 decades now, and what I love doing is really understanding what our industry, the localization industry, needs, not just today, tomorrow, a year from now, but 3 years from now, 5 years from now, talking to customers directly, understanding the market trends, and making sure that we're putting together solutions that will address all the current challenges that we're having, or to achieve new goals that we didn't think about before. So with that said, I'll go ahead and get started right away. One of the reasons we actually had to do something at Phrase to address audio video content, there are a lot of trends in the industry, and I'm sure you're all aware by now. It's almost like a no-brainer now, but 82% of all global internet traffic now is essentially video. And think about streaming platforms too, not just YouTube, stuff like that. But on the other hand, like subscription or company, or let's say user or company added videos, every minute there are about 500 plus hours of video being uploaded to YouTube. And about 80% of data storage is now consumed by audio and video. So these are some staggering statistics on the enterprise side. But on the consumption side, there are also some trends as well. For example, 85% of all internet users prefer video as their medium to ingest content. I'll give you an example. I had to do some plumbing at my house. And instead of reading a bunch of instructions that come with the things or the tools, I literally just go to YouTube and I say, how do I do this one thing? It could be about anything. It could be about cars. It could be about generative AI. I want to learn something. So this is the trend that we're seeing. People really do want to ingest content through video. Look, that's not to say that text is going to go away. I don't think it's going anywhere. PDFs, Word documents, they're still valuable. Text on a website, it's still great, but we are seeing huge trends towards video and audio content. Now, there's another staggering statistic that's kind of combination of the other two that you're seeing on the screen. 75% plus of all global video is actually being seen on both mobile devices like cell phones and tablets, rather than say TVs and computer screens. So this tells me one thing. We need to produce either a UI that gives all this information to consumers in the way that they can ingest it, but also think about all the accessibility features that you now must take into account. For example, I'm at the subway or the metro, and I don't have, my headphones with me. So I need to watch the video quietly, or maybe there's somebody sleeping next to you, whatever the case might be. Or maybe you're at a very busy and loud place like an airport. Captions have now become so much more important. The other thing is the attention span. With the explosion of content on things like Instagram, TikTok, even on platforms like LinkedIn, which is a professional network, if you look at a mobile app, on the bottom there are 5 icons, and one is dedicated to video now. You can literally scroll video after video on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and this also shows you that attention span is getting shorter and shorter. These are 10 to 60-second videos a lot of the times. And that also says if you produce content in people's own language, and if you produce content with maybe subtitles or captions, the amount of information that you can cram into those few seconds will be much more effective. So these are all the reasons that we had to do something. But at the same time, we knew that there are a lot of challenges related to this industry. For example, there's a vast amount of data. Imagine how many corporations have a ton of educational videos that are trapped in a repository with no catalog, no descriptions. A lot of them are in a foreign language, but they're not also easily searchable either because it's unstructured data. So how do you deal with this amount of content, if you just try to have a human go through all of it, write descriptions, catalog them, make them available, subtitling, dubbing, all these things, it's just a massive effort. So a lot of the times companies choose not to make this content more accessible. Speaking of accessibility, there's also EAA, which I just did a post about a couple of weeks ago. It has now become the law of the land, which means while in the US and some other places we had ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, Section 508, a lot of laws related to making content more accessible to make sure that people with varying abilities can also ingest this content. Now, European Accessibility Act also says if you have audio or video content on your website, for example, it should have captions, just like images having alternative text, so that screen readers could understand what's going on and relay that information to the users. So this is another angle as well. So without further ado, Phrase Studio is designed to address some of these problems, but it's more than just a subtitling tool or dubbing tool. It's a unified audio video intelligence solution. What that means is, one, we're always kind of an AI first, right? Our vision at Phrase is to be the AI first backbone of the global content ecosystem. With that said, this is our new AI powered solution for spoken content now instead of text based. It enables companies, and it could be enterprises, it could be language service providers or language service integrators, to unlock the full potential of audio and video. Again, it's more than just subtitling. And it is built for global teams to scale voice-based content across languages and markets. So the idea here is, again, with the previous challenges that I mentioned, making sure that this content is now accessible to people, and you can do this at scale without worrying so much about cost and time. So what it is, we talked about, this unified audio video intelligence. What does that even mean? It means capturing spoken content, whether it's live or recorded. So on a meeting like this or a webinar, or uploaded content like audio and video. But we want to transform it into actionable, accessible, and localizable assets. We want to be able to use it for a variety of different use cases or intent. For example, keynotes or training videos at a corporation or podcasts, digital ads, live broadcasts, even more. And outputs will include not only subtitles or AI dubbing, but summaries and insights that you can extract from it, the content that matters most to you. For example, do I have any personally identifiable information in this video? Do I have any offensive language in this audio? Whatever the case might be. And why that matters is this. We want to unlock the full potential of the content that you have. There's a lot of key knowledge that's trapped in these videos. Think about product videos that you've put out over the years. It is critical to keep using that content as long as it's still relevant, or maybe make some updates to it. But add captions and subtitles in over 40, 50, 60 languages. Maybe dub it in 30, 40 top languages that need your product needs. And making sure that you can now access to that knowledge and again, make it more accessible to people. Removing those barriers we talked about, language, accessibility, cost, searchability, and helping meet those accessibility laws. This is not just about the compliance either. Accessible products are better products. It is essential for some, but it's useful for everybody, right? So like I said earlier, I don't have to be deaf or hard of hearing in order to want to see something with subtitles. So that is really, really important, and a lot of users will actually appreciate it. So if you do these things, the results that you'll achieve, subtitling, dubbing costs can be cut by 75, 90%. And again, this is for enterprises and LSPs because you can now handle way more content. Look, if I'm transcribing something, usually there's a 4x rule. So if it's a 1 hour video, I may take 4 hours to complete that transcript to make it perfect. And then it goes into different languages. That 4x rule is no longer a thing because if AI can get me there 95% and maybe I just fix the remaining 5%, guess what? Now an hour video can just take an hour and 30, an hour and 40 minutes to complete, not 4 hours. This means if I'm the transcriber, I can actually do more projects, right? I can be more productive. If I'm an LSP, I can now handle more content for my enterprise clients. And if I'm an enterprise, same thing. I can now upload massive amounts of content and get actionable insights from it, make it more accessible, make it more usable. And turnaround times, what we're seeing from our initial use cases and trials is 7 to 10 business days worth of work being reduced to 24 to 48 hours. We're not saying that it's going to be perfect, it's going to completely eliminate humans, but we're saying that we will make them way more productive and efficient than they were before. So there are some core features and capabilities that I think are worth mentioning. Now, in this image, you're kind of seeing you can now interact with this unstructured data live. What that really means is I can technically ask it questions and extract some answers that are relevant to me. Now, the goal here is step number one, capture and transcribe audio or video content. It could be real time, it could be on demand. I can do something called diarization or speaker identification so that there are different speakers. I can separate them. AI may already identify it, like this may be a lecturer or a professor, or if it understands the context, it may say Amazon.com CEO. AI will do that, but it may not be perfect, and I can go fix the speaker names. I can get identification on PII, like again, personally identifiable information or offensive content or other things that you care about. The second stage then, once your transcription is solid, translating and subtitling that content into over 100 different languages and understanding the context and cultural nuances and preserving them with those translations. And then, of course, instant preview so that if I make a change on the screen, I want to see it live on the video so that I know exactly what my subtitles are going to look like. Same thing with dubbing. I can get the voice style exactly how I'm going to hear it at the end. And finally, I talked about intelligence, right? Summarizing and getting insights that you care about. I can extract keywords. I can do a level of Q&A live. I can get very specific knowledge from this content. In terms of use cases, we had a lot of signups for this session, so I think a lot of companies already know what they want. But just to give you ideas, enterprise communications, we're seeing some very, very like some of the top use cases are coming from that, as well as, of course, internal product and marketing videos, educational videos. In healthcare, we're hearing some needs for example, transcription and legal documents as well. Same thing. You can upload a recording, for example, from a deposition and get the transcript from it with the speakers identified, and get some specific insights from that. Say it's a 2-hour deposition. I don't have 2 hours to watch the entire thing. I can ask it questions and get some answers. And of course, media content as well. And use cases, as we mentioned, it's creating accessible, localized educational materials, and expanding that reach of content across markets. I talked to dean of a hospital years back, and they were kind of talking about how we automatically assume in especially more technical fields like healthcare or maybe AI or tech industries that everybody speaks English. And largely that may be true. They do have that education, but he was telling me how they spend millions of dollars on an MRI machine, yet all the instructions are not in their language. This particular person was in Romania, so maybe they're in French, Italian, German, Spanish, some of the more common languages, but specifically not in Romanian. So in that case, the technical staff that are using the MRI machine are actually kind of winging it. They're looking at the English stuff, but they don't use half the features that come with this massive multi-million-dollar device. And that's because they don't want to go through a 300-page user manual that's in a different language. And then, of course, additional capabilities that AI tools today can offer, like voice synthesis with a consistent tone, human in the loop QA, both being able to edit the transcript and the language, making changes specifically to dubbing and then review workflows, and fully integrated with Phrase platform. This is something that we're still working towards, integrating with strings, integrated with TMS, but a lot of the features that you're used to using being able to bring those features into Studio as well. I'm going to take a quick pause here and seeing if Clara, we have any questions before I show some examples.
Yeah, thank you for the break, Semih. I'm just going to remind everyone that if you want to submit questions, you can use the link that I will now share again in the Zoom chat. We're using Slido to gather your questions. There are already two questions. Maybe one of them we can cover right now, and the other one, the slightly longer one, we can save for the end. Sylvie is asking where we can find a list of supported languages. You mentioned there are more than 100 supported languages. Do we have a list? Do you know somewhere?
We do have a list. I don't have it right this minute, but we can certainly send that to you. If you're a phrase customer, just reach out to your customer success or AE. And otherwise, just we'll send that over to you. You can just email us, or we can get back to you if we have your contact information. But it's a lot more languages for subtitling and captioning, and it's a little bit less for dubbing, just because of the quality and amount of training data available for certain languages. So dubbing, I think, is roughly, I want to say less than 40, 30 and some change. But then for subtitling, we do support over 100 languages. But that's a good question. All right, so I have here 5 examples of what we initially wanted to focus. Now, there are a lot of tools out there. If I want to subtitle something, there's probably 100 different tools. If I want to dub something, there's a bunch of tools. If I want to extract some insights from content, from a transcript, for example, I can upload it to a chat GPT and get some insights or whatever. But again, the idea was to bring all of it in one place. However, while we focus on that application layer, we still wanted to optimize the AI models that are producing the results that we want. So I'm going to show you 5 examples of why Phrase Studio is super, super interesting compared to some of the other tools you might have experienced. One of them is when you have music, multiple voices in the background, and you really want to focus on that one voice that matters to you. Phrase can do that. In this case, and all 5 examples I'm going to show you now, by the way, are completely unedited. In fact, if you're a transcript hawk, you may be like, oh, that's not how I would transcribe it. That word needs to be in the previous segment. It's broken in the wrong place. I kept these as they are originally on purpose so that this is not edited. So these are the real results that our AI tool produces. What I want to focus here, this is going to be a gaming trailer. Now, you have this monster's voice, which we're trying to caption. However, there's some character in the background chanting. There's a woman's voice. And then there's some music as well, and the music gets louder and louder. So a lot of the tools that I used in the past couple of years have started hallucinating. Either they start typing stuff that's not there, or they're getting confused between the monster's voice and the chanting. So you're going to see how our tool handles these complex situations.
It's super early, but as we look to expand on the story we started in Diablo 4, we're going to take you somewhere even darker, where hatred's influence continues to consume Sanctuary.
We have each played a part in what has happened here. You abdicated your choice to this child. And with every step she takes, I grow stronger. There will be no salvation in the light.
All right. So as you might have noticed here, that chanting voice gets louder and louder as the pressure builds up, right? As the tension builds up in the trailer. And then there's that background music. So what we're able to do is a lot of pre and post processing on this video content to make sure we first understand the context, what's happening here. Second, once we realize, uh-oh, there are these different tracks that we probably don't care about, we can separate those out. But if I had a reality show where there are people speaking over each other, it is actually able to caption everything because now it's a different context. It can tell that there's something else going on. It's just a bunch of people speaking at the same time. So that was example number 1. All right. Now we have a completely different type of video. Now we have a very, very loud environment. We have a sports basketball game, and we have a lot of background noises. Not only the audience, cheering and yelling and making noise, but of course the players, like even their sneakers screeching on the gym floor, that kind of stuff. So it's very complex. But I want you to look at something else as well. Here, again, if you've ever subtitled or transcribed something, one of the most annoying things is not just the text and correction of that, but really punctuation, syntax, being able to really put the right sentence structure so that it can make sense to the audience. What we strived to do with AI was really exactly that. You will see things like um, Minnesota 52, Denver 48, and there's commas in between, just like normally what you would do. But really take a look at that and try to pay attention to how complex the sounds are, but look at the way the sentences are structured. Very, very key.
And Gorgie Zhang. And Nicola's got it. Our officials tonight, Jason Phillips, Tony Brown, and Michael Smith. Nuggets 53 wins, 28 losses. Jokic's first shot on the money.
Just took it and just didn't even hesitate.
No, Jokic has it. Jokic 55 doubled. Oh, what a pass to Harris! Oh, yeah! Vintage Joker, vintage Harris.
Yeah, he was just waiting for Gary to get a half a step on Sarge.
Well, Wiggins coming in, and he lays it. Minnesota, a good home team, 25 and 15. But horrible on the road, 11 and 29. That three is good.
Oh, Plumlee. Great. Had him when the ball came right to the middle. If you dump it back high-low, it's a layup. If you wait, gives the defense a chance to return, then you stand and watch on the fast break.
All right, so a few things there, right? Like when it's talking about Minnesota, a great game, a great team at home, blah, 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 but terrible on the road. And you see all those commas and stuff, or high, low, high dash low together, or oh yeah, oh, comma, yeah, exclamation mark. The reason I mention these things is because, again, when I do this type of work, it is super, super annoying to have a tool that may be able to transcribe the words correctly, but then it's all a bunch of run-on sentences. Now I have to manually edit all these things. So by using generative AI, by understanding the context, and then not only transcribing it correctly, but writing it in a way that a regular human editor would do, it just helps. And it may not be perfect, and you may have to add maybe a comma, maybe a period, or maybe it thinks somebody stopped talking and then starts a new sentence with a period. Maybe it's a run-on sentence, stuff like that. It's okay. If I can get you there for 95, 98% of the way, then it's going to be so much more effective to do the remainder of it. All right, so now we have a different type of use case. This time we have a very complex let's say, lecture on a complex topic, machine learning. The professor has a very heavy accent and she speaks super, super fast. Like if you were to close your eyes and listen to it, it's going to be hard for you to kind of understand or grasp exactly what she's saying. Of course, you'll have the subtitles, so it's going to make it easier for you. But I want you to really pay attention, especially when she talks about how you would do this with a child. And then she starts on a new sentence. Listen to how super fast she speaks. But look at the way that the sentences are structured in the transcript.
So how can we make machines which can understand language? So first of all, the machines have to understand the grammar and the language itself, and it also has to understand something about the world to which it tries to interpret the language. And there are two possible approaches that we can think about. One approach is what, we will do with a child. We say the person or the computer really has to understand all this information. So we need to take all our knowledge and encode it in the machine, and then it can try to understand it.
So again, in this particular case, she's speaking super fast, but AI is able to understand the context in which she's speaking and then be able to kind of separate out the sentences. Even with the heavy accent, it knows what she's trying to say. Some of the words, the pronunciation was a bit rough, so it's able to catch these things as well.
So,
all right, now we have a different use case. Look, all three so far were done by professional speakers, so to speak, right? It's kind of like recorded content with a specific purpose in mind. Now we have this natural, informal, unstructured speech in a podcast. This time, our user speaks in a very, uh, like, basically, she speaks like me. I don't finish my sentences all the time. I sometimes kind of go back, and my mind is always running faster than my mouth can catch up. So I may have a lot of unnatural sentences that don't even end correctly. Or it may be a huge run on sentence where I don't take a breath in between. This is what you're going to see. And I want you to, again, look at the way AI is going to structure the sentences. Like, it may put a dash once it understands, oh, wait, this sentence never ended. It's continuing, but she now started in a different way. Or it may put ellipsis, dot, 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 and then just think about some other areas there. So without further ado,
Dr. Julie, as a clinical psychologist, you say that everybody deserves to have an emotional toolkit. What does that mean?
There's loads to that depending on what you're facing at any given point. And I would kind of break it down into, there are certain things where people struggle, no matter what the details of your problem is and what life's throwing at you. A lot of people struggle with, emotions. So people will often come into therapy, diagnosable or not, people will come into therapy and they'll say, I've got these feelings that I don't want to have. I'm having too much of those. And I'm missing a lot of the nice, pleasant ones that I used to have more. I would like some of those back, please.
Right.
So a lot of it is there's some skills around emotion regulation. So there are things you can do to help you regulate the negative emotion, not make them disappear, so that there's a learning about, emotion is normal human experience and it's information. It's not something that's wrong with you. If you experience sadness or anger or, anxiety, it doesn't necessarily mean there's something wrong with you. It's a normal part of human experience.
Okay, so all the way till the end, she keeps doing this thing where she kind of stops in the middle of a sentence, starts a new one, and you can see there are different syntax that AI will implement just to make sure that it makes sense. She does it all the way till the end there. The next thing I'm going to do is now actually show you the real UI. I think a lot of people would like to see that instead of a bunch of recording videos. So any questions before I continue? Clara, I don't know if there are some questions that we want to.
There are a lot of questions, which we love to see, obviously. I'm thinking whether we should cover some of them now or maybe save them for the end. A lot of questions are about kind of what if the video includes multiple languages at once? Can Studio capture multiple languages in one video?
That's a great question. Yes, that is possible. Maybe this is a good segue into the tool itself. So let me go to the dashboard. Perfect. So in your phrase dashboard, you would simply find Phrase Studio. That's the new card that you'll have once you have access. And now you have a whole bunch of recordings that you might have already done. Of course, yours is going to be empty at first. But these are the two areas where you can go into, for example, My Recordings, where you see all the your recorded content, all your projects, so to speak, and your settings, where you can adjust things like, let me upload my glossary, my term list, maybe speaker names, or my SRT or VTT profiles, meaning how I want subtitles to look. So that's going to be under settings. I can also build some very specific insights that I want to extract from the system. And then once you go into your recording, like submitting a new project, let's do this as a test. I simply go in here and I pick a video, I upload that video, and now I have some advanced options. Again, if I had some glossaries built in, I can just pick those glossaries, or I can add some names like, my name is going to be in this video and it's going to be spelled this way. So whatever the case might be, you don't have to use these. Same with SRT profiles. Netflix put out some great public guidelines, and if I take those guidelines and created my own subtitle profile based on those, I can just do that, but there's also a default, so you don't have to do that either. Now, this is where you would select the languages. First of all, when it comes to the original language, we used to just auto-detect, but now we're forcing the users to select the language just to give you that additional peace of mind, just in case, like you said, maybe there are multiple languages in there, but I really want to focus on one. So if this is English, but then there's somebody speaking Spanish, like yelling in the background, I want to be able to still capture that and force the system to take English as a baseline. If not, you can click this checkbox, audio contains multiple languages, and then we'll be able to separate those tracks and then be able to caption all of them. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and force this to be English. And now these are the list of languages that you were asking about earlier. However, I would recommend don't translate it right away. Don't do that in case you have to fix things that AI might have missed. I mentioned earlier, AI tools are not perfect, and we're not trying to make them perfect. What we're trying to do is get you about, almost at the finish line, and you just do the rest. You're a lot more efficient and effective that way. You can technically fire and forget. You can put a whole bunch of languages here and say translate it as the video becomes available, or you can even dub it into those languages as well. But I would recommend against it. Just do your English transcription. You can also add some intelligence features to it too to extract some info. For example, I can get AI summaries. I can take some insights on safe communications, like was there respectful language spoken here? Were there any red flags? Was diversity and inclusion taken into account? Whatever the case might be. And custom attributes would give me a list of topics being discussed in this particular audio or video. And then custom insights. This one's pretty cool. I mentioned earlier, we wanted intelligence. We wanted to get insight, and we wanted to illuminate the user with what's available in this video. From that perspective, I built in my own custom insights that I would like to extract from certain videos. You would have earnings call, company presentation, or general already coming by default, just to give you some examples. What I did is I built my own synopsis, reading levels, content analysis, and social media. So I'll show you what that looks like. Let's do synopsis and social media. And I create my project. It's that simple. Super fast. You can submit a project within 5 seconds. Once that's working and it's going to upload, I'm going to go back to the same exact video that's already done in the interest of time so we can kind of see what that looks like. But essentially, that's this video here, and it's the same one as this one. So in this case, when I upload audio or video, this is what my project looks like. You will be able to see the video so that you have the context as you're making any changes. You will have everything identified by speakers. Sometimes AI may make mistakes. Like in this particular video, you will see once it finishes processing, you will see that Madison and Dr. Mamina's voices are too close in this segment. So it actually thinks it's the same person. But in the very last segment, when the doctor speaks in a more distinct voice, it says, this is a third person. So you will see that. But for now, this is what it sounds like.
Protect the skin you serve in.
The skin you defend in. Protect your skin with La Roche-Posay's ultra-lightweight sunscreen with antioxidants.
To defend against skin cancer.
And prevent visible aging. Every day is a sunscreen day.
All right, so first of all, again, I mentioned earlier, we understand the context. We want to make sure that we do as much of this heavy lifting as we can on the front end, right, with the AI. So here, La Roche-Posay is a brand, it's a proper noun, and it's pronounced, or sorry, it's written exactly this way. It's spelled out this way. AI already does it for me, so I don't have to worry about it. Just those few seconds that I save will, dramatically affect the end result, because imagine doing that 100 times on a much longer video. Yes, you can copy and paste, you can search and replace and do all those things. But again, the less you do of that mundane, silly stuff, the better. If I'm an artist, especially on the language side, my job is to make this message resonate using the most effective language. It's an art, right? That's what I want to focus on, not little things like syntax and capitalization. You're also seeing sometimes I have certain rules in here. So I say do not exceed a certain number of characters. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so you can kind of see character per segment, words per minute, but also you have individual character count here, 23 characters and 34. For example, Netflix may say do not exceed 42 characters in one line because it's just too much. So you can set those things up. And in this case, it's broken into 2 segments. But I'm going to show you something cool when it comes to dubbing. So another thing that you want to do here is you want to check out the speakers. It's going to be important because if you do the speaker identification correctly, it does two things for you. One, when you download this as a transcript, you will have the proper conversation, who's saying what at what point. But the second thing is dubbing. We want to make sure that everything is dubbed properly with the right voices. So that's why this is very, very important. It's super easy. If there's an additional voice, but then you only have two characters, you can delete one. You can add a new speaker. You can edit the name of the speaker, which is what I did here. Let's take a look at the project we submitted. I believe it's still pending, but we may get the transcript if we're lucky. Let's wait a little bit longer. But you will see that it's going to say something like, sunscreen advocate, for example. It's not going to say Dr. Mamina, but I can see those names on my screen when the character starts speaking. You can't quite see it, but it's underneath there. It says Francis. So I can take that name and paste it. Just so you know, our goal is to create even more intelligent products. So in the future, there are already APIs we're looking at to understand what's happening on the video itself and being able to capture that. For example, if I see the name on the video, can I capture that information and automatically update the transcript with that information? Whenever this person speaks, I stick that name in there. We can already do that on the voice, but we don't currently do that with video. There are a lot of really cool things coming up soon. Anyway, once I'm happy with my transcript, and by the way, if I want to move things around, so this is when the subtitle appears. A couple of things that we wanted to make sure that we had. If I make a change, I see that change immediately on my screen, so I know exactly what everything is going to look like. I can also make edits to the text, and I see the result of that immediately so that I know what it's going to look like. I don't ever have to leave the tool and come back. And I can do this, of course, both with the translation and with the transcript. Now, another thing too is maybe AI got confused and the subtitle appears a little bit before when it's supposed to appear. So let's just say it appears over here. Let's take a look what happens.
Protect the skin, you serve it.
So you can see subtitle appears first before the guy starts speaking, and it ends very quickly. So there are a couple of things. I can always extend this so it stays on the screen a little bit longer.
Protect the skin, you serve it.
Or again, it starts way too soon and I can see the sound waves. I can see when he starts talking about here.
Protect the skin, you serve it.
And now it stays on the screen a little bit too long. Again, I can see the sound wave, so I can just go maybe right here.
Protect the skin, you serve it.
The skin you defend in.
So depending on how perfectionist you are, you can actually fix this, to the best, however you like it the best. Another thing that I want to show you here on the transcript is this. If I were to combine these two, right now it's two separate segments.
Protect your skin with La Roche-Posay's ultra lightweight sunscreen with antioxidants.
Okay, maybe what I want to do is I want to change things up a little bit. Maybe I want to actually combine this with the previous segment. I know it's going to look ridiculous on the screen. I could probably edit some of the things here maybe. Let's do it like this. All right. And let's listen to this segment again.
Protect your skin with La Roche-Posay's ultra lightweight sunscreen with antioxidants.
Okay, as you can see, it automatically adjusted the timestamps for me. I don't have to do this. So you don't need to be a sound engineer. You don't have to keep doing this like, the sound wave stuff on the bottom. It will automatically do this when you split, when you merge, when you do all these different things. So I'm going to go back to what it was. Oops, I actually merged it with next instead. So let's do split. And anyway, I kind of screwed that up a little bit. And this other one is actually completed. So we can now mess with this one instead. Still coming. Let's wait a little bit. It does say completed. So let's go back to this one. Now the translation workflow is where you will now have the corresponding text. Couple of things here, and by the way, because I messed with this a lot, it kind of screwed it up over here. But luckily, my dubbing is not affected, so I will go fix that a little bit later because you can see that I combined a lot of this. Then it kind of tries to combine these as well. In terms of dubbing, well, first let's talk about this. So the speakers will carry over to other languages or other parts of this language. For example, in this case right here, Dr. Mamina spoke in 2 different segments. And what I did in the transcript, I combined it, but the translation was done before then, and it was still in 2 separate segments. So that's what's happening here. But the good news is, and by the way, I can see the now original, I can see the subtitles in Turkish, but then original text still, or original sound displaying. So this is what it looks like.
Protect the skin, you serve it.
The skin you defend in. Protect your skin with La Roche-Posay's ultra lightweight sunscreen with antioxidants.
So you can see it actually still combined, and then it shows the timestamps exactly where she spoke, but then it's a little bit different. Like the original said sunscreen and antioxidants, here antioxidant is in the previous, because of the way that language is built. We're always looking up and down segments to understand the context. So if something is broken into multiple segments, we want to make sure the syntax rules are followed for that language and not one-to-one. Otherwise, you would just see this sunscreen with antioxidants translated here, which was not going to make any sense whatsoever. And again, here you can make a number of changes, and you can simply see those changes live on the screen. But when it comes to dubbing, all those changes that I made in the transcript and the language just now will not carry over to dubbing. It's going to use the original translation, and the things that I do in dubbing will not carry over to subtitles, and that's by design. In this case, this particular segment that was in 2 segments in the translation, so that's segment 3 and 4, you can see it's perfectly fine in subtitles, right? I can follow it. But when it comes to dubbing, it's risky because you have one much longer text. Here's the English on the bottom with dark green, and then the other one is with light green over here, and it ends right here. You can see the second segment, or it is actually already combined here, so I can't tell. But normally this was in 2 segments. So if I go back to my translation, again, these 2 are separate segments. In dubbing, I combine them to make it one segment, because if you break it and one sentence is longer, the other one is shorter, AI will try to fit the voice into those segments with those timestamps. And if it's the part of the same sentence, it may not sound natural because now you got 2 different audio tracks for the same sentence. So I simply combine it into one, and it sounds much more natural. So I can also select voices that correspond better with my speakers. So here's my original voice.
Protect the skin, you serve it. Protect the skin.
Okay, and then these are all the original voices.
The skin you defend in. Protect your skin with La Roche-Posay.
So these 2 are very similar, but I want to make sure that I pick the right voices. You can do a couple of things here. You can search by language to see what voices are best for that particular language, but that doesn't mean that you cannot use a different voice. It's a little bit of trial and error, to be honest. For example, for Francis, I picked JM, this voice.
Evil is evil. Lesser, great.
It's a deep voice. I thought that it would fit the character really well because he also has a deep voice.
Protect the skin, you serve it. Protect the skin.
So in this case, you can see the languages here. It doesn't say Turkish whatsoever, yet I went into Turkish with this language, and it works perfectly. So you're not limited to whatever shows up in here. That's just a guideline. But in terms of all these languages, so I also have river here.
Nature is a mutable cloud, which is...
Okay, so that's going to be my doctor. And then Madison is going to be this voice here.
Başarı hakkında hayal.
And you can kind of see it's female, it's young, narrative story. Here for river, it says conversational, neutral, middle-aged. And for JM, professional, British originally, middle-aged, male narrative story. So you have different categories. You have like excited voices, you have calm voices. In fact, if I search for calm, there's some really there's some really interesting voices here.
Hello, this is Kyoko.
Okay, so that's calm.
Strategy is the gentle art of aligning the winds.
Willkommen.
This one
Ich lade dich ein, für einen Moment deine Augen zu schließen.
So once you're happy with the voices that you selected, you can simply re-listen to the video and watch it in that language.
Cildini koru.
Savunduğun cildi.
Cildinizi La Roche-Posay'ın ultra hafif antioksidanlı güneş kremiyle koruyun.
Deri kanserine karşı korunmak için.
Yaşlanmayı önle.
Her gün güneş kremi günü.
All right, so that's basically an end-to-end workflow. Your download options, once you're finished, is transcript, which will show you what everybody is saying. I actually have an example of that that's quite long, so that it might make more sense. So in this particular video, you're still seeing my screen, I hope. Perfect. So in this case, I have a really long text. You can see there's an announcer, then this person speaks for a long time, then there's another speaker. This is what you get. And there's a timestamp every 5 minutes, so you always know where you are in the transcript. So that's one thing you get. Of course, in this particular video, it's quite small, so it's not going to look the same. But if I were to download this, it's just going to look like, give me a second. It's going to look like this. Again, it will combine what people are saying, like this Dr. Mamina was 2 different segments, but it will combine it. So that's your transcript. AI Note is really cool. I'm going to show you that in a second. SRT, VTT, these are your time-coded caption files. You have your source video, and here you can burn the subtitles onto the video and just download it that way. So I can have the same video with 10 different versions. It's going to have the original audio. It's going to have the subtitles. And then I have the dubbed video with or without subtitles. So I can dub it to Turkish and still have English subtitles, or I can dub it to Turkish, have it with Turkish subtitles, or I can just have it dubbed. And then you don't have to worry about subtitles whatsoever. If that is the case, there are 2 ways that you can download those edited subtitles specific to dubbing. This is the SRT file you produced in the transcription phase, whereas the dubbed SRT or VTT will show you the changes that you made in dubbing. So if you combined a few segments to make it a paragraph so that you could send that to AI and get the dubbed voice back, it will preserve that and it'll stay that way in dubbing, but it's not going to affect what you did with subtitling. Again, that's by design. And then the last thing I'm going to show you is some of those options that we talked about with the settings. You have some preferences on AI models. This will actually go away because we're underway in integrating this with language AI, phrase language AI. What that does is it picks the best MT or LLM engine, depending on both the context and the language pair. But further, it can integrate with, I believe it's up to about 40 different MT or LLM engines, so that if you have preference, like you want to use DeepL for this one, you want to use Google Translate for that one, we'll be able to do that through language AI. But yeah, so this is going to go away. Custom insights are the insights that you build and say, this is what I want to extract from my content. So you have 50-word synopsis or maybe reading levels. You want to reduce the reading level of this complex idea into 5th grade for maybe accessibility purposes, maybe for cognitive disabilities using plain language and so on. I can get those PII offensive language. Like here I said, tell me if there's any offensive language as defined in USC section 1464 and give me the timestamps as well. And then produce social media posts for me based on this video. Why that's important is if you have very specific content, here I have a sports event, right? That NBA game. I get the entire summary. I get the custom attributes or list of topics. It explains what they are and what was the context. Safe communication scores, respectful language, potential red flags. And I even have those custom insights. I don't think I added it on this one, but I do have it on another one down here. For example, for this one, the video that we looked at earlier, I requested 2. I said, give me a synopsis up to 50 words, 100 words, and 250 words. And this allows you to turn unstructured data into structured data, right? And I asked for some specific media posts, social media posts based on this content. One of my most favorite activities, though, is to go to AI chat and interact with it live. This is very cool. I can say, what is this video about? And it tells me. But then I say, who are the players that are mentioned in this video, and it will literally identify each one, and it will tell me any other information. So for example, I can say, how many times was Jokic mentioned and at what timestamps? And within a second, it's going to give me, it was mentioned 6 times in this video, and these are the exact timestamps. So you can find out when your brand was mentioned, for example, in this video. I think that's a good overview. I know we don't have that much time left. I would love to answer some questions. So I'm going to stop sharing and see if we have some questions we can answer.
We have a lot. We're probably not going to have the time to answer all of them, but I believe, have covered already something as you spoke and showed the demo. Do you have a hard stop on the hour exactly, Semih, or can we go a little bit over? We can go a little bit over? Okay, cool. So I'm going to share my screen. I just wanted to let everybody know that I launched a little poll, a little survey, very short survey in Slido. You can find it on a second tab. Right next to Q&A, you can find polls right here, and you will find 3 multiple choice questions and 1 optional open text. It will help us greatly to understand, what are your current blockers when you are trying to localize videos, and what you would like to try as a first thing after you saw the demo. So please let us know. It will inform our future decisions and developments. But yeah, let's go into the questions, and let's start from the top. Can we use translation memories as well as glossaries? For example, if we have subtitled a film and now need to gather certain subtitles for a trailer, could the AI tool use our previous translations?
So second part, absolutely yes, you can do that today. The first part, TMs and glossaries, right now we haven't really integrated deeply with those yet, but phrase language AI work is underway today. So once we have access to phrase language AI within Studio, all this other AI models will disappear, and phrase language AI does know your content. It does have access to your glossaries and term bases. And it's very soon. It's coming up in the upcoming weeks.
Thank you. Next, will it be possible to clone the original speaker's voice?
So we actually started with that first, I'll be honest. We started with that first. We experimented. We have this in the background. It's not exposed to you, the customers, but we have that. It's not, to me, in my opinion, it's not as professional, let's say, or effective as the 11 Labs voices that we have right now. So I would say that we'll probably come back, and we can also do this with 11 Labs' AI tools as well. This is coming, but today it's not exposed to you.
Thank you. What AI models are you using, and is this customizable? Could your customers use their own keys?
So today, no, you're not able to bring your own AI here. It's just OpenAI right now. We use different versions of OpenAI tools, but that's, again, going to go away. The reason is we may still use something like a Whisper to process the audio, the speech recognition side of it, but the translation and everything else is going to use language AI as opposed to OpenAI that we use today.
For current phrase users, is it possible for you to provide a trial version so that we can evaluate whether it meets our needs?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Please reach out to your customer success or AEs, and we'll open that up for you.
Yep. When we'll be able to integrate with streaming platforms such as Vimeo, YouTube, and bulk connect in just large volume catalogs of video content?
So this is definitely a roadmap question, and I'm not a product manager for this, but I will say we would probably do integration into DAMs or digital asset management systems first before we do YouTube and Vimeo. The reason for that is, and by the way, Vimeo is a little bit different. As long as they expose APIs that you can properly integrate, that's one thing, but a lot of tools out there will kind of rip the video from tools like YouTube, and they will change that algorithm all the time, so you can't do that. Like, you're not supposed to do that, right? From that perspective, it's a lot of tech debt, but whatever our customers are saying that this is my digital asset management system, like some of them have custom ones, let's talk. Let's see if we can tap into some APIs and bulk upload the content and then place it back when it's done.
Thank you very much. For anyone who had a hard stop on the hour, I'm just letting you know it's now. You can go. We will send a recording to you, and maybe Semih, we can go on for I don't know, a couple of minutes, address a little more questions. Okay. Will Studio simply be added to the existing suite of products or sold as a separate product?
So Studio is a platform. We want to give you access to everything that we have to offer in the same platform without ever having to leave. From that perspective, we do want you to get it as a platform. What we might do, if Studio is the only thing that you need, let's talk. There is appetite on our side to open this up to you, and maybe we give you the other parts of it too. And maybe we lower some of the capacities on other areas, add them to Studio. Everything is flexible. So let's talk. I'm not going to say yes or no because it's one of those things. It's kind of a gray area.
Yes, again, will this be integrated in Phrase TMS, for example, to translate captions using term bases and TMs?
As soon as language AI is available, we will let you know. In fact, we just made it available for strings a few weeks ago. Same thing. We're working on it. It's going to be available. Then it's going to have access to your term bases and glossaries and such.
Is your tool sophisticated enough to transcribe high quality audio recordings in Asian, European, and Middle Eastern languages?
Yes and no. What we're hearing now from some customers, if the translation for Japanese, for example, has Chinese characters in it, when we send that as is to dubbing, we're getting some responses like, it sounds like a foreigner speaking Japanese. It's not as natural as we would like it to be. And of course, if the language, like if my translation is this long and English is this long, then dubbing sounds super rushed. That's where you can make those adjustments, combine or separate segments. But for the Japanese thing, what we did is we were actually going back and looking at the way that we're translating specifically for that language and seeing if we get better results. The more we get this feedback, the more we're going to work on making this near perfect. I'm saying near perfect because if it is a language that just there's not enough content to train AI, it is more difficult. But for majority of the languages, like 40, 45 languages or so that are more commonly seen in our industry, we're very good in those.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible to adjust the font, color, and position of the subtitles?
Yes, I didn't go into details there, but I will tell you all the things. Minimum duration, maximum character count, total line character count, max gap between words, captioning position on the screen, font size, text color, and background color. Those are the options you have for subtitles.
Amazing. Okay, let's say I have a Word file with a transcript of a video, but without the time codes. Can I upload the video or audio and that Word file and let your platform do the sync?
So not yet, not yet. We did get a lot of feedback. Hey, I already have a human transcript or human SRT file. Can I just upload that and then take that as a baseline, go into different languages and dubbing? We got so many of those questions that we're now looking at building that into the roadmap. So that's going to be okay. But today you can't. Today, the best way to do this is create a term list and upload it with the video. And then we'll be able to kind of at least do proper, spelling and pronunciation. But it's going to come. It's going to come.
Okay. How does Studio handle multilingual asset previews, especially when syncing visual timing across languages with different character counts?
This was another great feedback that came in. For example, if I have a Netflix SRT profile that says 42 characters per line, then I use that for Japanese, it's too much. Netflix says for Japanese, it should be 13. So this was already added to our product roadmap. We're going to do that. But on the other side of it, like being able to kind of see all the different things and being able to, sync the timestamp for all languages, the best way to do that is right now on the source. It's going to take that as a baseline, not all the languages. So right now, you would be able to see it one language at a time, not all of it at once, if I understand the question correctly. But if not, let's talk. Reach out to us and we can look at more detailed in your use case.
Thank you. Another question is around language locales. So for Chinese, do you mean Mandarin only? There are different dialects. And I think somewhere below there was also a similar question around Spanish. So Spanish Spain, Spanish Mexico.
Yeah. Yeah, currently we have three flavors of, excuse me, Spanish and two for Chinese. For Chinese, if we're looking at written, we got simplified and traditional. For traditional, we actually have both Taiwan and Hong Kong, but those are the three, so to speak, like for the locales. For Spanish, we have Latin America, we have Mexico, and we have Spain for now. We can expand that in the future, especially when phrase language AI is in the mix. But for now, that's what we have. Interestingly, those are the same locales you see in dubbing. But as we know, you wouldn't say simplified Chinese, you would say Mandarin. So we're going to fix that and seeing if we should make some changes, like make a separate translation specific to dubbing. Those features are being discussed right now. But those are, you already have these locales. French, Portuguese, any of the locales that are commonly seen in the world, we have those available in the system today.
Okay. Would it be possible to capture captions, text on the videos, but not in voice? For example, slogans.
I mentioned at some point in there, like if I have a speaker, for example, can I get that information? Right now, if we just have access to the flat video file, no, we cannot edit the text that's on the screen. We do it manually today. I didn't show it today, but if there's text on the video, you can just create a subtitle for that section and then just write the same thing in source language. When it goes to different languages, you see the text in the original language and then the subtitle is going to be in the new language. So that we can do. And of course, if you dub that, you will also hear the voice of it as well. But right now, we're not altering the video text at all. It could come in the future, but it's not in the roadmap today.
Thank you. I guess maybe let's take a last one, or how do you feel, Semih?
I'm okay as long as people want to stay. I don't know how many more we got, but I'm okay.
Okay, so let's go with this one. Thank you for the demo. Are you seeing your users splitting the automatic captions into meaning units or not bothering? So just like with neural machine translation, are people getting lazy and accepting good enough suggestions?
That's a very interesting one. Sometimes when I discuss this with certain customers, I mentioned earlier, like a transcription hawk. If you're a transcription hawk, you know you would never end the sentence with or segment with an article. There are certainly best practice rules. What I did is I actually took these from Netflix and sent it to our development team and said, guys, we don't do this today. What you saw today was what AI produces. So in the monster voice in the first video example I showed, it said to this, ended the sentence, and then a little bit later it said child, right? And a lot of people will say, well, you know what? That is actually not the right way to do it. Maybe you would do it this way. Today, it's up to the user. AI will not do that, but we do have these best practices that we can implement. Do not end sentences here. Do not start a sentence here. Do not break a product name into two segments. That's very easily done through algorithms. That will be fine. But to your question, some people just don't care. If it's just a matter of accessibility and like they just want to add captions to content that didn't have it before, they're fine with the way AI produces it. My thought is, let's make it a little bit better now that we know this stuff, right? Now that we know there are some best practices. So I know it didn't exactly answer your question, but I think users kind of are split into two. Next one, Vimeo. Yep, I think we're going to answer that one. That is in the horizon. Yeah, we're looking at Vimeo. We're looking at YouTube. We just need to make sure that it is not a way that we need to like rip the video, but rather properly integrate and get that content. Like if you have a Vimeo account and they can open it up so we can use it as an asset management system, it's good. If you have a public Vimeo page, you want us to rip the videos, we don't do that today. We probably won't in short term at least.
Okay. Studio seems to create a new subtitle per speaker. Is it able to detect and add dual speakers in a single subtitle?
So right now, yeah, if two people speak over each other, it will actually put the other one onto the same segment, thinking maybe it is said by the same person. You would manually split that today. You would manually split that into two. I had an example, didn't show it today. But people speaking over each other, it may get confused and they may put it in one segment. Currently, it's manual.
This one, I think you covered customizing the speaker's name. Yes,
Yes, in fact, diarization Today, it kind of went back a little bit. We had some amazing capabilities there that we'll bring back. Diarization is going to be much better. So speaker identification is going to be dramatically better in the upcoming weeks.
You. How do you guarantee the safety of customers' intellectual property? Will Phrase use the content fed into Studio for AI training, for example?
Never. In fact, I will send you on chat our AI statement, and you can see some more details in there. We will never use our customers' data unless it's explicitly permitted to train larger AI models. Everything we do stays with us, doesn't feed the larger LLMs. So I'm putting that in chat. That is our AI statement, but great question. We're all about responsible AI.
All right, Sammy, I'm gonna resend it to everyone, not just a host, that's me. Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect. We still have 70 people on, so let's keep going with these last 4 questions. How do you tell Phrase Studio to focus on a specific voice and ignore the other voices?
Great question. This is all on the technical side. I would have to involve the product and or development teams, but what we're able to do is separate the audio into multiple tracks. And again, looking at the context, we can figure sometimes and say, this sounds like we're focusing on this voice. It is a lot of optimization. I mean, it took months and months just to get to that point. But we had another, for example, podcast where there's a little bit of live music and just kind of like saying stuff. That one we were able to caption it. So AI knew the context. This one, I do want the lyrics in there because it's kind of part of the video, part of the experience. But this one, I can tell it's a trailer. I can tell it's something different. I will eliminate it. It may not be perfect. Again, I want to be very clear, but it is amazingly accurate for all the different types of content that we're testing it with.
You. This one also was already covered. Can you set characters per line limit? Yes.
Yes.
Can you specify target language variants? Yes, we covered that. The audio in Turkish sound disembodied. Is there a dashboard that allows to control how well the audio integrates?
Great question. Yes, in fact, sometimes that like song with lyrics and stuff like that, if we optimize it and separate out the text or from speaker's voice from the music, for example, when I dub it, I may not hear the lyrics anymore, right? There's some interesting things that happen in there. This is in our roadmap. I have to say one thing about AI, because I've been involved in it for years and years. To get from 0 to 90% is super fast. It's awesome. But that remaining 10% to perfect it, the result that you're looking for, it is immensely difficult. That's why you have all these tools, amazing companies out there, and no one has perfected everything just yet. So I will say it's not going to be always perfect, but we're working with 11 Labs, in fact, to expose a lot more capability to us so that we have more access, more controls, and we're gonna expose those controls to you, to the user on the UI. For example, once they allow me to say on a segment, excited, laughing, sigh, groan, those types of things, the feelings into the words, I'll be able to do that and I'll expose it in Studio so that you have access to those things. So you can have sarcasm, you can have laughter, you can have all these things. It's not quite available to us just yet, but we will get there. Similarly, we have access to about 120 voices today. It's going to be more than 5,000. So all of this is already in our roadmap. But again, it's a slow process to perfect these things.
Okay. Thank you so much, Semih. I think we can leave it at that. Thank you to everyone for staying 15 minutes over. We still have over 60 people on, so that's great. Thank you so much for your interest. I'm just gonna invite you again to go to the polls tab on Slido and please participate in the survey. We will love to hear your thoughts and feedback. And Semih, thank you so much for the presentation, for the demo. This was great. And yeah, looking forward to what's next for Studio.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye-bye.